And today we come to the book of James. And so I'm going to be doing two things. I'm going to talk about cast out. I'm going to actually read some of the content from my cast out book, just to show you this phrase as it appears in Scripture, how often it appears, and how important, this phrase really is. So I'm going to be doing that. And so I do want to welcome all of you that are coming on. If you'll share today's broadcast, I think it's a very important subject to discuss. I've written a book called Cast Out. It's available at Amazon.com. And let me read some things from that book. The term cast out is used often in Scripture to refer to things that have become evil and must be expelled. It is used in reference to people, systems, and unclean spirits. I was amazed at how many times the phrase is used in Scripture. Casting out is a theme in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. This book contains the verses where the term cast out is used. As you read and study these verses, you will see the importance of this topic. God will increase your faith in this area and use you to cast out. To cast means to throw something forcefully in a specified direction. Synonyms for cast are toss, fling, pitch, or hurl. Cast out means to reject, abandon, or eject somebody or something. Synonyms include throw out, evict, boot out, oust, eject, reject, sack, remove, dispossess, exile, banish, expel, or exclude. I like the word dispossess. In other words, what the enemy possessed, he will no longer possess after he is cast out. This includes people, places, and things. We possess what is dispossessed. The word possess is used 59 times in the book of Deuteronomy and 215 times in the Old Testament in the King James Version. Cast out is used in reference to the nations of Canaan being cast out under the Old Covenant and demons being cast out in the Gospels. Israel's natural enemies were types of spiritual enemies. The term is used in Scripture in reference to judgment upon evil things, both natural and spiritual. Antonyms, or the opposite for cast out, include accept, admit, allow, fix, hold, include, keep, plant, take in, and welcome. Jesus said those that come to him, he would not cast out. That's John 6:37. Other similar terms in Scripture are drive out and cast away. Cast out is the Greek word ekballo, Strong's 1544, which means to cast out, drive out, to send out with notion of violence, to cast out of the world. In other words, to be deprived of the power and influence he exercises in the world, referring to Satan. It said, now shall the prince of this world be cast out. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. It also represents excrement from the belly into the sink, to expel a person from a society, to banish from a family, to compel one to depart, to bid one to depart in stern thought, not violent language, so employed that the rapid motion of the one going is transferred to the one sending forth. To command or cause one to depart in haste, to draw out with force, tear out with implication of force, overcoming opposite force, to cause a thing to move straight on its intended goal, to reject with contempt, to cast off or away without the notion of violence, to draw out, to extract one thing inserted in another, to bring out of, to draw out or bring forth, to lead one forth or away somewhere with a force which he cannot resist. So often the word is used to mean something that's driven out, ejected by force, sometimes by violence. So when it says that we shall cast out devils, it's something very forceful, to eject with force or violence. The Hebrew word for cast out is garash, Strong 1644, meaning dismissed, dispossessed, divorced, drive, driven it away, driving, drove them away, evict, expelled, surely drive, tossed about, and tossing. Joshua, who is a type of Christ, was commanded to cast out the nations in Canaan. Jesus came in Galilee and began to cast out demons. Jesus spent a considerable amount of time casting out demons. Jesus commissioned the 12 and the 70 to cast out demons. Jesus stated that casting out of demons would be a sign that follows believers. Do you cast out? That's the question. Do you cast out? Many believers don't. Many allow the enemy to operate without much resistance. Don't allow the enemy to operate freely, but cast him out. The result of casting out is peace, shalom, prosperity, health, and rest. Casting out removes the things that bring pain, suffering, and sorrow. One of the first times I saw a demon cast out was early in my ministry. I was called to pray for a lady who had recently gone through a divorce. She was depressed and suffered from anorexia, loss of appetite. She had lost her appetite and could not hold down any food. I took a team to her home, and when she answered the door, she looked frail, and you could see her bones protruding through her skin. We sat down and began to pray for her. I simply called out any spirit that was in her stomach that was preventing her from eating. As I began to pray, she began to scream and hold her stomach. She was experiencing pain in her stomach area. I commanded the spirit to come out, and after a short time, she stopped screaming and said she felt it leave. Her face changed, and I saw the peace of God come upon her countenance. She later testified that her appetite returned and she began to regain her weight. This was one of the first miracles I saw through casting out. Okay, let's look at the book of James. Today, the book of faith and works. The book of faith and works. Many of you are familiar with one of the key verses from James. Faith without works is dead. It's the book of faith and works. James writes his letter to believers to suffering believers scattered abroad. That's should be chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. James challenges those who say they have faith but do not have corresponding works. And it's really a book that emphasizes works being the evidence of true faith. Works flow from the heart of true faith. Faith is seen through works. Righteous believers have always had good works. Many claim faith but lack any true evidence. There are multitudes who believe in God and even claim to believe in Jesus but show no sign of true faith through their ungodly lifestyles. Works validate faith. Good works are important to a lifestyle of faith. Without works, religious practice is dead religion. There is no contradiction between Paul and James. Paul taught that no man is justified by the deeds of the law, but by faith. You cannot earn salvation through works, and you cannot claim salvation without works. Paul preached primarily to a Gentile audience and James to a Jewish audience. Some Jews had a problem with salvation by grace and faith without any corresponding works. James shows the importance of works that would also apply to Gentiles. Anyone who hears the word and is not a doer is in self-deception. James warns those who claim faith about favoritism a loose tongue, and ignoring those in need. Those who claim faith should keep themselves unspotted from the world. Chapter number 1. Christ is the judge standing at the door. In James, James also writes to encourage the believers in their sufferings. Key verses, James 1 and verse 22. But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. James 2:14. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works, can faith save him? James 2:17. Even so, faith, if it has not works, is dead, being alone. James 2 and 18. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. James 2 and 20. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? James 2:21. Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? James 2:22. Seest how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect. James 2:24. You see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. James 5 and 10. Take my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Key words: faith, works, justified, dead, and suffering. Faith is verified by works. Works, the outward manifestation of inward faith. Justified, declared righteous before God. Dead, faith without works is dead. Key figures in this book: James, Abraham, and Rahab. James, an apostle, the brother of Jesus, and a leader in the church at Jerusalem. Abraham was justified by his works. His offering of Isaac was proof that he believed. And then Rahab was justified by works. Her hiding of the spies was proof that she believed. So that's an important book. It really brings balance to people. Another verse I should have included is that even the devils believe and tremble. So just because someone say they believe, if they don't have corresponding works, then their faith is not valid. It's not true faith. Okay, Monday we'll go into 1 Peter, the book of overcoming suffering. So this is an important book. Now it's interesting when you study church history. Martin Luther, who was a reformer, of course, taught the doctrine of being justified by faith and by grace. And he actually, as far as I've studied, did not want the book of James to be included in the canon of Scripture, because James said that you're justified by works. But of course, James is not saying that you're justified by keeping the works of the law. He's saying that you're justified by works because works is a something that verifies faith. Because there are a lot of people that claim faith and claim justification, but their works don't show they're true believers. There's no such thing as a true believer who doesn't have the works of a believer, the signs of a believer, the deeds of a believer. So it's important. This brings balance, and this separates those who confess it and those who really believe it. Those who confess it, but those who really believe it are identified by their works. Jesus said, even with false prophets, by their fruits you shall know them. By their works, by what they're doing, not by what they're saying, not by what they're prophesying or preaching, what they're doing. By their fruits, we're known by our works and by our deeds. Now, you may say, I'm not selfish. Well, selfishness is something that is really a fleshly manifestation. And sometimes you have to examine yourself to see whether or not you have any selfishness in your life. You may not be totally selfish, but there may be some areas of your life that causes problems in relationships, in marriage, in ministry, in business, because it's really a manifestation of selfishness. And we're going to talk about this. I'm going to show you all the ways that I've studied that selfishness can manifest, so you can examine yourself, so you can get delivered from yourself. We cannot be a disciple of Jesus fully and be a selfish person. You must pick up your cross and deny yourself. That's the word of the Lord. You cannot be a selfish believer. It's a contradiction. So we have a lot of people that are selfish, self-promoting, self-exaltation, even selfish people in the church that need deliverance. So don't miss it. It'll not only give you a way of examining yourself, it'll help you to minister deliverance to other people, because selfishness is a demon. There is a demon called selfishness that people need deliverance from.